I just want to let y'all guys know I'm gonna still do true crime and wine on this channel, but what the f I'm not gonna do is no conspiracy theories. Right, Gabby?
No.
Nope. We're gonna go ahead and tap out on conspiracy theories.
Tap, tap, tap out. Come on.
Like, even talking about it is like giving me, you know, I'm getting like hot flashes and stuff. Welcome back to True Crime and Wine. It's daytime, so I will be drinking wine with you guys in a couple of hours, but grab your glasses, grab your popcorn. We're gonna talk about some psychotic ass twins. And for anyone who's new to my channel, has no idea who the fuck I am also a twin. So any twin stories always trickle me down to the core, because I'm like, god damn, y'all are some crazy ass. I like to think me and Gabby are not that crazy and aren't like any of these twins that I have researched and done some homework on. But, you know, some people would like to beg to differ. But let's get into this week's twins. For anyone who hasn't seen my last YouTube video, I did a True Crime and Wine on the Silent Gibbons twins. I do not know how to insert like the link in my video so that it pops up here so you can click on it. If anyone knows how to do that, comment below or email it to me, because I just don't have a clue, which would make it easier for you guys to follow along when I say stuff like that. But for anyone who's interested, it will be in my description box so you can watch another video on some psychotic crazy twins. And that one wasn't really psychotic. I guess it was kind of like just more on the bizarre side. This, on the other hand, is a very weird, questionable case, story, whatever you want to call it. They have like similar things in common in these cases, and I'll get into that the further I get along, but just so you guys aren't confused whenever I bring up the Silent Gibbons twins, you can watch my previous video, or don't, I don't know, whatever. Allison and Ann Dado, I don't know how to say it. You guys know I'm not the best at pronouncing names. I think it's Dado. It could be Dado, D-A-D-O-W, I don't know. They were born on August 23rd, 1978 in Utica, New York. Anne was about 42 minutes older than Allison, which is kind of crazy because I can't imagine pushing out one baby and then just being in labor for another 42 minutes. But then again, I can't really picture pushing out even one baby for any type of minute, so I don't know what I'm talking about, but I just imagine if you finally let one pop out and then the other comes out kind of like so far later, like almost an hour later, you're like, get the f out of my vagina! Or not, maybe you're so sedated. What am I even talking about? I go on tangents where I'm just kind of like, what, Danielle, what the f are you talking about? And then I'm like literally talking to myself, and then you guys are probably like, she's the worst true crime person on the internet, and I'm like, actually I'm the best, so ever tell a friend to tell a friend. Get into my stories, because I tell them like so superbly and all over the place. And for those who are all over the place, they're like, yes, you confused the shit out of me, but I stuck with the confusion from beginning to end, and I really stuck with you, and the story made more sense than it could ever make sense. And I really truly believe that that's what my true crime videos are like, but maybe I'm wrong. Anyways, these twins were born 42 minutes apart, and being 42 minutes older, Allison being youngest, and Gabby technically is 1 minute older than me, but I like to tell this story and Gabby likes to argue with me. If my mom was giving natural vagina birth, I would have been first. However, I was coming out ass first, and they told my mom, hey, like, you know, this baby is going to basically suffocate to death because her ass is coming out, not her head. So she had to do an emergency C-section. And when you do a C-section, when it comes to twins, the second twin is pulled out first, obviously, because it's behind me. So Gabby was pulled out a minute before me. So I technically still believe in my mind I'm older, but in medical records, she's older by a minute. Now, these twins would be later called the Duval twins, and when you're Googling them or doing research, they most likely will have more information if you type in the Duval twins. They changed their name later on, which we'll get into. They had an older sister, Amy. I don't know how much older their sister was, but they did have an older sister. Their dad was a doctor for some type of prison, and all I know about the mother is that when they were 5 years old, she died suddenly of an illness. I tried Googling everywhere. What was their mother's illness? How did their mother die? All I found was that she died suddenly of an illness. And their dad worked very bizarre, irregular, long hours. So basically their older sister was in charge of taking care of them. And to make up for the fact that he worked such long hours and wasn't there to comfort them or give them what they needed as a father to mourn the loss of their mother, I can't imagine what it's like to have a wife and 3 children, and then the wife passes away, and then you as a father have to take basically on both roles. I know that women probably do it pretty swiftly and easily, taking on both roles. I just don't know how it is for a man to be both the mom and the dad, but I imagine with 3 children, it's a lot. So because of his irregular hours and him working and never being around, he basically threw his car keys to his Cadillac to the 2 twins and gave them his credit card, which they had no problem going around and spending on designer shit that they would wear to high school. Why high school students need designer is beyond me, but that's what these 2 twins decided that they were going to do. Meanwhile, their sister Amy was in public school, but the 2 girls went to a Roman Catholic school. Maybe the dad thought they needed Jesus. And really, when we get to the end of the story, I think we're all going to believe that they needed Jesus. Anne and Allison were indeed identical twins. They looked exactly alike. And like most twins, they had differences, except for the Gibbons twins. I'm not quite sure if they had any differences whatsoever. I mean, they looked a little different, but in every video I saw, they like moved in sync and did everything in sync. And with Allison and Anne, they were inseparable and stuck together like glue, but they did have difference in personality. They weren't the same exact human being. People described Anne as being the more reserved, quiet twin, more relaxed, the nice twin. And then people described Allison as the wild one, the outspoken one, the one that was quote unquote out of control. For any set of twins out there watching, you know what it's like when there's like one evil twin and one nice twin. It doesn't actually mean you're evil or nice, but that's just like a label that comes with being a twin. For me and Gabby, Gabby would be considered the nice twin and I would be considered the evil twin for whatever reason, but that's just how it is. That's how the cookie crumbled. So in this case, Anne would be the nice twin and Allison would be the evil twin. And she actually ended up being evil, but we'll get into it. Allison and Anne had a very unique bond, kind of like bizarre. They showered together naked on a daily basis. I'm not gonna sit here and say I have never like showered with Gabby. I have, but it's never been on like a daily basis. It would be like an instance where like it was 2 heads and we were in a rush and we both needed to shower at the same time. I see Gabby naked all the time. She sees me naked all the time, but we're not actually like in the shower soaping one another down or like lathering in Dove soap or Bath and Body Works next to each other. So I think that's a little weird, and they were very open with everyone that they showered together. It's like they like got excited telling people that like, yeah, we shower together every day. Every night. Anytime we shower, we do it together. So people in high school said that they were inseparable, locked at the hip. They did everything together. They if one did cheerleading, they both did cheerleading. If one wanted to eat French fries, they both ate French fries. It's definitely similar to the Gibbons twins where they did everything the other twin did. It's almost as if they weren't individuals. They were the same exact person, which I think is really weird, but it's also because I've never been in, me and Gabby have never been like that For as long as I can remember, there's never a moment where me and Gabby dressed exactly alike, talked exactly alike, or were the same exact person. For as long as I can remember, me and Gabby were literally just Gabby and Danny and Gabby, not just the Victor twins. And I feel like in these cases that I'm studying where there's some type of tragic or devastating end, these girls were literally one person in two separate bodies, as opposed to me and Gabby, who are two different people that happen to be twins. So if you're a twin and you're watching this, I would love to know how you are with your twin. Are you guys literally the same exact person? Are you different? Do you do everything together? Do you not do everything together? How does that work? Please comment below if you are a twin. People that were close with the twins said that as much as they loved each other, as much as they had great memories and great laughs and yada 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 yada, they had terrible, toxic, gnarly moments. They fought. In every twin fights, me and Gabby fight from time to time. Me and Gabby usually have like low-key, like subtle arguments. I think in our lifetime we've gotten into like maybe 2 or 3 really bad physical fights. Gabby just beat me up because I'm not really a fighter, but other than that, we've only gotten into like tit for tat type of arguments about stupid ass shit. But people would describe when they got into fights, they didn't care if they were in public. They would literally hit each other, slap each other across the face, pinch each other, bite each other, pull each other's hair. They got into gnarly ass fights. So it wasn't just like they were yelling at each other or they getting into the little simple arguments. They would beat each other up, like beat the shit out of each other, which is really not normal behavior for not only twin sisters, but sisters in general. It's your sister, okay? Shouldn't be beating her up. Probably shouldn't be doing that. And if you are doing that, you should probably go into counseling because there's some deep, dark, rooted issues there that you two need to talk about. I don't know while all this is going on, because we skipped from 5 years old to now they're in high school. Every article I talked to didn't really talk about the years in between that, like how their sister handled basically being a mom and how much older the sister is and yada 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 yada. So I have no idea what happened between the ages of 5 in high school that affected these girls, their mental and their relationship with one another. I imagine if the dad is not really around and their sister is raising them but also trying to live her own life and be a free spirit, how difficult that might be. Somewhere along the lines, these girls probably needed some psychiatric counseling, but their sister probably wasn't paying attention or didn't really care enough to put her foot down and say, like, we need to get you girls some help. And their dad maybe was too busy working that they just didn't know, he just didn't know at all. Or maybe he did and he just didn't know how to handle them. Who knows? But from the ages of 5 when they lost their mom into high school, it's a big giant question mark on what the girls were doing, what their mental state was, what their physical state was, how their relationship was with their father, how their relationship was with their older sister. All of that is nowhere to be read or found. So I can't fill you in on that. But come to high school, their relationship has got to the point where fighting in public and beating each other up in front of people in, you know, the general population was a normal thing for them. Means somewhere along the line, some went left and off the deep end. Now, while the older sister Amy went to public school, their dad enrolled them into Notre Dame High School. Some people described the twins as being loners and really two girls that stuck to just each other, and then other people recall them being super popular. So maybe they were super popular, but at the same time, during their popularity, they were still like, skirt, it's just us two against the world, but thank you so much for thinking that we're important and still wanting to be our friends. Because there are pictures of them on the ROTC team, the cheerleading team, at parties, at prom. So it did seem like they had friends. But even if you have friends in high school, sometimes they're just people that you're acquaintances with. Doesn't actually mean you're best friends. They were probably just best friends with each other and were ride or dies with each other, and people were like, look at them, they're always together, always whispering to each other, always having private conversations, yada yada yada. I think a lot of people don't understand twins, and because they don't understand twins, they believe those twins are quote-unquote loners. As I said in my other twin video, a lot of people when we were growing up thought that me and Gabby together was a lot, they couldn't handle it, our teachers couldn't handle it. So I imagine no matter what group of friends they entered themselves into, that group of friends might be like, oh wow, wait a second, this is a lot. So who knows? So we got half of the people recalling them as being loners, and then we have half of the people recalling these two twins as being very popular. So I'm gonna just read, because obviously I can't memorize this, what someone they went to high school with said about them. I'm not sure if it's a male or female, but the person said they were nice, but they would fight, almost like a married couple. All it would take was for one of them to talk to someone else and they'd be screaming and yelling at each other. In my head, I can still hear them yelling each other's names all these years later. Ann, Al. And basically the person just went on to say they both really loved to party, and that was back in the days when Zima was a really popular drink. Zima was a clear malt, lightly carbonated alcoholic beverage made and distributed by the Coors Brewing Company. Introduced in 1993, it was marketed as an alternative to beer, an example of what is now referred to as a cooler, with 4.7 to 5.4% alcohol by volume. I guess back in the day, the twins loved to party in high school, and even though most of their classmates only partied on the weekend, it was said that they would party every day of the week. And I'm going to go ahead and assume it was because these girls were left by themselves with an older sister who was probably too busy doing her own goddamn thing to give a shit about what they were doing, but their dad was not really around to parent them and coach them and tell them you can't do that. So they partied a lot. They really developed a bad drinking problem in high school, and to develop a drinking problem in high school is a very early on age. I'm not quite sure, it's definitely before the age of 21, but we're not supposed to be drinking. We're not supposed to be partying every day of the week when we're in high school. We're actually not supposed to be partying at all when we're in high school, but like most rebellious teens, whoever's parents are gone for the weekend, we're hitting that house, we're drinking a couple, and hopefully everyone is smart enough and safe enough to get home safe so you can do it all again next weekend. But needless to say, they developed a bad drinking problem. And when they drank, they got more violent and more violent with each other. They would argue more when they were drunk and bicker more when they were drunk and get more physical with each other when they were drunk. So these bad habits and their anger towards each other started getting worse in high school when they started drinking as much as they were drinking. They would also smoke cigarettes, smoke weed, on top of being drunk. So that's just a lot. I mean, when you drink and you smoke weed, it's like pretty much a wrap, especially if you get the spins. So I don't know how they were doing that every day of the week. But surprisingly, everyone stated that even though they partied as much as they did and got as fucked up as they did off weed and liquor, it would not affect them academically. They would go to school, they would nail their tests, nail their grades, they killed the shit. It's almost like the Gibbons sisters. Even though they stopped going to school and they homeschooled each other, they were very intelligent and very smart. That kind of reminds me of the Gibbons twins in the sense that even though they put themselves at a disadvantage somehow, they were still kind of brilliant, at least academically. So I don't know about y'all, but in high school, I did not have swag. My parents weren't rich. We didn't have tons of money to fill our closets with what was poppin', which back in the day was like Hollister, Abercrombie and Fitch, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. We just had what we had and we rocked what we could rock. Sometimes it was sweatpants, sometimes it was even pajama pants. Like, we just tried to look as good as we could with what we could. Now, these two twins were walking around their high school in Chanel, Giorgio Armani, Burberry. They had gold jewelry, rings, $800 wallets. They would flash to the entire school how much money they had. And it's just kind of like, as their dad, even though you're giving them your credit card, at some point, aren't you gonna be like, you're spending too much money? Like, there's absolutely no need for a high school student to be walking around in fucking Chanel. I mean, I guess now in 2020, that's probably what the goal is for high school chicks. It's like, I need a Chanel. Someone give me a Chanel. Give me a Louis. Give me a Louis bag right now. So, but this was back in the 80s or 90s. So it's just like, was Chanel really that big of a deal? Like, you needed to wear that to high school way back in the day? Now I kind of get it, because this generation is so ass backwards and everyone thinks that you're not cool and you don't look good unless you're wearing Prada sunglasses, but that's beyond the point. These girls dressed to the T in designer everything, and they wanted the whole school to know, like, we are those two. We're richer than you, we're smarter than you, and we party harder than all of you. But they also had way more issues than probably everybody at their school. Sometimes I think the facade that people put on in their lives, like the idea of being rich and the idea of being happy and the idea of partying and also getting A's on your test, it's like this storyline that maybe these two twins felt like they had to create for themselves and also continue to play out throughout their lives, because we're going to get into it when their lives continue. This need to be rich and popular and talked about increases. So it's always like money and greed and superficiality became their one true meaning. Really ended up being their demise, but we'll talk about that soon. Whatever these girls did, they did together. Whatever plans they had, they planned it together. Whatever dreams they created, they dreamt it together. It was not like Anne wanted to do this and Allison wanted to do this, and then at the same time they're both doing their own separate thing. They can also do together. It was no, your dream is my dream, what you do is what I do, what you plan is what I plan. We're not two separate people, we're one person, which is weird to me, because me and Gabby are twins, and never ever have we ever looked at each other and said, your dream is my dream and what I do is what you're gonna do. In fact, we've probably never done the same ever except do Bad Girls Club together. Other than that, I can't even imagine or sit down and reminisce or recall one time I forced Gabby into living a life that I planned for us. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say when she got pregnant, is going to ruin us. We're just a brand. You're ruining our brand. You can have a kid now. We're just becoming the Victor twins. That was like the one time I tried to like redirect Gabby's life in a different direction, and guess what? It didn't work out, because Gabby's her own person and she makes her own decisions, and she decided that, you know, her life was going to be a mom now. We aren't like these twins. In high school, they joined the JROTC or JROTC. Yeah, I just said that. I said that right? Right. Okay, so they joined that in high school. They had dreams that they would become neurosurgeons together. I'm just gonna go ahead and give a spoiler alert. That doesn't happen for them. They do not become neurosurgeons whatsoever. In fact, they needed a neurosurgeon to do a surgery on their brains to find out what the was wrong with them. But that's besides the point, okay? We're gonna get into their issues really quickly, but we can already see that they have like some really dark issues here that can only really be explained if we were in their minds and understood how their brains were working and the thoughts they were having. And also, I'm curious as to know why, if you can't stand your twin, which clearly they couldn't stand each other because they beat the shit out of each other, why you would want to spend your life planning to do the same exact things together. It's just really weird to me. It doesn't make any sense. Just like in regular life with anybody, if you don't like them and you don't want to be around them, or you can't stand to be around them 24/7, then you won't be around them and you won't plan to be around them 24/7. So in my head, I'm reading this story and I'm like, if y'all need a break from each other, why don't you take a break from each other? What in their minds gave them the delusion or the irrational thought that they had to be one, they couldn't be separate? That's what's curious to me, because I can't even explain to you as a twin that Gabby and I do not consider ourselves to be one person. I can't imagine my life without her. I can't imagine my life without a twin. But Gabby is a completely different person and has completely different goals and aspirations than I do as me, Danny. What I want to do 5 years from now is not exactly what she wants to do in 5 years from now. But we don't hate each other for that. We don't think our worlds are coming to an end because of that. Because we also know at the end of the day, even though we have separate goals and separate dreams and got our own separate, you know, going on, whether she meets the man of her dreams tomorrow or I do, and we both go off and have families, we still gonna be rocking and riding with each other till the end of time. Now, I don't know if in their delusions or their blurred concept of reality, they began to believe that if they separate, like they won't survive or they're not going to make it in this world. But there's definitely a disconnect, and it's hard for me, even as a twin, to understand their bizarre behavior with one another. Also in high school, both of them were never in serious dating relationships or romantic relationships. And if they did get into relationships, the relationships wouldn't last long because they would rather spend their time with each other than with outside people. And in my mind, I'm like, so did y'all like share a dick? Were you like always having threesomes? How did that work? If Allison got a man, was Anne trying to like fuck it up? If Anne got a man, was Allison trying to fuck that shit up? Or did they both date the same dudes? I really did start Googling this and I couldn't find any answers. All I could find is that they weren't in any type of serious commitment in high school. And if one was starting to really like a boy, it would be an issue, and then they would just end up single and back like in each other's vicinity, circle, life. I don't know what to even... It's just so weird to me. Did you guys lose your virginity to the same guy? Did you guys, if one had sex with one guy, did the other have to have sex with him too? Did they have to share everything? I'm curious to know that. She won't do any interviews now, the surviving twin. Oops, spoiler alert. We're gonna get to that. Hoo-hoo! I'm the queen of...
Hashtag spoilers, 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 spoilers.
As high school progressed, their drinking got progressively worse, and as they were drinking, they were gaining weight. And so the school started making fun of them because they were gaining weight. So then they lost a ton of weight, and then the school started making fun of them because a rumor spread around that they had bulimia. Maybe they did, I'm not sure. I can't confirm or deny if they did or not, but rumors went around that they had bulimia. So after those rumors went around, they then packed on some more weight. So at the end of the day, high school is a very mean place. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're a twin, not a twin, a saint or an angel, the most popular, not the most popular. People are always going to talk. It's like being literally on the set of Mean Girls. With that being said, whether they had a lot of friends or not, whether they were popular or not, people still talk. And when you have a twin, you have an automatic best friend. So while the whole school might be talking about one of y'all, both of y'all, at the end of the day, they knew they had each other. So when some people describe them as loners, it might just be the fact that while the whole world was their friend, but not really their friend, they really had each other to get them through this bizarre, hard concept called high school. So I get it, why they might have turned and looked at each other like, you're all I have. No, you're all I have. We have each other. I get it. I know what it feels like to feel like I only have Gabby. And even now that I'm grown and I look back at all the friends that I had in my life, at the end of the day, I've always had one real true friend, and that's my twin sister. So this isn't really that weird to me, that they would feel disappointed and let down by people they called their friends and therefore had even more strength in their own relationship, if that makes any sense. But this is the only thing that I researched and read that I completely understood and related to. So in high school, they were cheerleaders. Go, go, G-O. Go, twins, go. But eventually, they had to put the pom-poms down, and instead, they took out their yoga mats, and they really loved yoga, and they thought, oh my god, maybe we can actually make a career out of yoga. So being a neurosurgeon, let's stretch for the rest of our lives. Namaste. And that's exactly what these did. Their family eventually moved to Florida. The girls went to college in St. Petersburg. I'm probably saying that wrong. St. Petersburg and Tampa. Eventually they opened a business in West Palm Beach, Florida called Twin Power Yoga Studio. Then they opened a second location in downtown, and they plan on opening a third location in Boca Raton. I'm sorry, I'm probably saying that wrong. Boca Raton. No clue. Y'all know what I'm talking about though. If not, Google it. BOCA space RATON. I don't know how to say it. Needless to say, that third location was never opened. At this time, business is booming in Florida, okay? These girls' yoga classes popping. They got a commercial out.
Located in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, Twin Power Yoga offers a dynamic duo experience with a yoga and wheel rider cycling studio. These core focus workouts provide a new mind-body experience. Twin Power Yoga presents a yoga practice that anyone at any level can enjoy. Classes are held in a warm studio set at 85 degrees, which helps stretch muscle fibers and prevent injuries while increasing flexibility.
Lift your arms up to the high Tadasana mountain pose, so we stand.
The practice of Power Vinyasa focuses on flow between postures and helps you tap into your inner power and relax the mind. Open 7 days a week, the Twin Power Yoga experience will teach you how to power your mind and power your body in a fun and friendly environment.
Well, we love the energy. West Palm Beach is the heartbeat in this entire district. In Twin Power Yoga, our tagline is power the body, power the soul. That's exactly what you get in our hot power yoga discipline.
They're driving around in matching Porsches because they can't even have different cars. Beep beep, so bizarre. Scoot scoot, coming through. We're the psychotic twins. We own Twin Power Yoga Studio. Make sure you come by. I think that maybe if I wasn't a twin, twins would freak me out. I'm gonna be honest with you. Maybe not. I mean, I think because I'm a twin, I get so fascinated with other twins, but if I wasn't a twin and I saw twins, I'd probably be like, this is kind of weirding me out. There's like 2 of these. So I'm sure as much as they were popular and business was booming in Florida, there was probably a few like Karens in town that were like, do you see those twins from the yoga studio? There's always a few people from the yacht club talking. I'm talking now because I have no idea what I'm talking about, but let me get back into it. They went on lavish spending sprees on Worth Avenue, which is like where the millionaires spent their money in West Palm Beach, Florida. They were spending their bread. They were making money, but they were spending it. Making it, spending it. Making it, spending it. Let me tell you here, especially for the young folks watching my YouTube channel, make sure you start a savings. Don't touch your savings for anything, because when you max out all your credit cards and you graduate from college and you can't find a fucking job, okay? You're gonna need that savings account. They should honestly start a class in college that teaches you how to accurately spend and save your money. Because if I had that when I was in high school and or college, my life would be completely different. My finances would be different. I'd have like 7 houses. I'd flip a few. I'd be rich as shit. But no one gives you a crystal ball and no one explains, hey, you probably shouldn't get a credit card at 16, max it out and not be able to pay it. So clearly these girls, as intelligent as they were in high school and probably college, did not really understand that when you make money, it's probably best not to spend it all. So then Hollywood comes and knocking, and some producer is really interested in them. He's like, I want to get you a reality show. We're gonna film you guys with this yoga studio, your life, your lavish lifestyle. This is gonna be magnificent. You're gonna be the first twins on TV. And they're really eating it up. They're believing every word he's saying. And anyone that's in the business knows that 99.9% of the time, 98 on a lucky day, people shooting some shit at you are full of really? Are you gonna do that for me? You're gonna give me my own show? It's gonna be #1 on whatever network they're pitching to you. They're probably lying. A lot of people just talk because they like to talk. A lot of people talk to, you know, get in your pants. The business, the industry is a very fucked up place. So they ate up every word he said. He convinced them to like buy a bigger yoga studio. They moved into like the 16th floor of this lavish building in West Palm Beach, Florida. And just like any, not fairy tale, because a fairy tale would have a happy ending. Just like the climax of every movie, some drama has to happen. So their climax to their story was their little reality TV show that they were promised, and all this money they planned on bringing in fell through. No reality TV happened. They were spending way more than they had. They could no longer afford the lease for their yoga studio. They could no longer afford the lease to their apartment. They had no money. They had to regroup. So they said, F this business, let's ditch it. And they got the fuck out of Dodge. They left Florida. They left their business. They didn't pay their employees. They didn't give refunds to the people that signed up for memberships. They just literally left town and said, fuck you all. They remember that when they tried to speak to Alexandra, she wasn't really trying to speak to them. She was very cold. She never once asked about her sister. Is her sister okay? Is her condition okay? I imagine if you're conscious and you're awake in the vehicle and you see a dead body next to you, you would know that she's not okay. So maybe she didn't need to ask, but not to be crying. She wasn't crying. She wasn't shedding a tear. She seemed just blank, dull, empty. Then she got taken to the hospital where her injuries were very minor, and they were trying to talk to her. And she was like, what are you guys doing here? She was very confused why the police were there. So they had to tell her, you know, your sister died in the accident. You survived, your sister died. And one of the officers remember her just having like a very blank stare and it being very bizarre to him. I don't know what she was thinking. I don't know what was going through her mind, but I know if I found out that my twin sister had died, I'd be inconsolable. I would probably spend the rest of my life in a sane asylum psych ward. So I don't know if she was in complete shock or what, or she was happy or she was relieved. I don't know what she was feeling because she was expressing no emotion, which was very bizarre. Another officer actually said that they informed the father, and the father said that basically the wrong twin had died. He even said something along the lines as it should have been that Alexandra. So obviously Alexandra and their dad had some type of really bad relationship, or something clearly behind closed doors happened, and maybe he blames Alexandra for why he has no relationship with his other daughter Anastasia, who is now passed away in a car accident. Either way, dad's not feeling his daughter, probably didn't even check on her, probably didn't even say 2 words to her, whatever the case may be. They get an investigator to come to the scene. The investigator not only has the black box that was in the vehicle, because newer cars have black boxes that are much like the black boxes that are in planes. The tire marks and the black box, he came to the conclusion that she was going at 100% acceleration and she did not try to brake at all. Now I don't know about y'all, but if I know I'm about to go over a cliff, I'm probably going to try to hit the brakes. I'm just going to try to do it. He said that this was no accident and she knew exactly what she was doing and she wanted to go over that cliff.
This was intentional. There was no luck involved. This was not an accident. This was not a traffic crash. This was a criminal act. His assumption, and everyone's assumption, was that she was trying to do a murder-suicide attempt and it backfired and she survived. It actually just ended up being arrested or to fight it in a court of law. They had to say, well, what's the motive? Why did she want to kill her sister? Why did she want her sister dead? I guess Federico and Anastasia had plans to start a business together, move to a different part of Hawaii together, and basically Alexandra was going to be left behind. Alexandra, I guess their whole life has been the third wheel. When it came to men, Anastasia was always the first choice or the only choice, and Alexandra constantly just played like third wheel. So she had a fear that this might be the guy that really takes my sister away from me, and if I can't have my sister, no one will, like on some crazy bullshit. So she thought, I'm gonna kill us both. And maybe she really thought they would both die in that car accident, and she ended up surviving. Karma's a bitch. As a twin, I will say this. I don't think any twin wants to live without the other. It's just kind of like, I would imagine the life is almost unimaginable. But then you see the story of the Silent Gibbon twins, when she feel like her life didn't start until her twin had died. Then you have this story where you have 2 twins that clearly cannot stand each other, are physically violent with one another, but also plan on doing everything together, but also have a lot of animosity and jealousy towards each other. So it's a very weird situation. My relationship with my sister is not like that. There's no competition, there's no jealousy, there's no envy, there's no nothing. It's just Danny and Gabby. We fight, of course we fight, everybody fights, and we've gotten into some really bad fights, but never to the point where I would ever look at Gabby. I even asked her when I was doing my research on this, I'm like, have you ever had a thought about like killing me? And she goes, no, sometimes I think about punching you in your face, but I don't think about killing you. Just to even have that negative thought cross your mind about like your identical match or your twin sisters,
very dark and very weird, and I wonder how many other twins around the world experience this type of relationship with their other half. So if any of you are a twin, I would love to hear like how your relationship is, or if you guys know a twin and they have similar bizarre behaviors, I would love to hear it. In my personal opinion, I think that it was probably just going to be another fight, and they were probably just going to forget about it after, you know, whatever glass of wine or whatever they finished. But when they got to that point of rage, where there was just not a bottle to throw or a pillow to punch or anything to let out that aggression, I think Alexandra probably thought, okay, you know what, I think it's best we both go out together. And I do believe that it was a murder-suicide attempt that actually backfired on her. I do believe that, because I just know if your car is parked when you're hitting each other, why would you then put the car in drive and veer off and not even try to brake when you're about to go off the road? Because the road was straight, so they took a left-hand turn to go off the cliff. So for me, that seems very intentional. I think that people don't just say things to say them. So a week before she was telling Federico, I'm going to kill Anastasia, I killed Anastasia, we're leaving the planet on the 30th. I think in her mind, whether that be intoxicated or sober, she planned that her and her sister were going to go, and they were going to go out together. And I think at that very moment, she thought that was the perfect opportunity for them to go out together. And it ended up backfiring her completely, and she was here to now be known as this twin that could have or wanted to kill her sister. And I don't know how you live a normal life after that. I couldn't find any article or update on what the fuck she's doing now, so I couldn't even tell you what she's doing now. But how do you live a life after that? What would be your normal? And to know your sister died right next to you in a horrible, terrific car accident. Basically, the blood is on your hands. How do you live after that? How do you live with yourself? Unless in fact it was murder the entire time and she knew she was going to survive. But how would you know you were going to survive a 200-foot drop? That doesn't make any sense to me. That's why I believe that she thought they were both going to go out together in some creepy, weird way. I don't know, guys. Gives me the chills. Please comment below what you think actually happened. If you think it was an accident, if you think it was a murder-suicide attempt, or just plain murder. Let me know in the comment section below. And that is this week's True Crime and Wine. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, but as I always say, if you're giving it a thumbs down, you probably shouldn't be on this channel. But if you are going to be here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, but also hit the bell, because if you don't hit the bell, you will not get notifications, and if you don't get notifications, you won't know when I post, and you would want to, wouldn't you? Follow me on Instagram, XXO Danielle, Swallow Podcast, The Official Victor Twins. We also have a TikTok, The Official Victor Twins, and Little Caesar the Frenchie for my dog. Also follow my own TikTok, which is XXO Danielle, and my OnlyFans is also XXO Danielle. Just follow me everywhere. Thank you. I love you guys to the moon and back. Till next time, be safe, love your sister. If you have a twin and you guys are having issues, go get some help. You don't want to end up like these two twins. And the funny thing is their nickname was the terrible yoga twins. What a terrible nickname to have. Anyway, namaste. Bye.